Was a big influence on me because it came out in '77. I was born in '66, so I was right at the right age for that thing to hit. And it was before all the hype. You know, it was the first to kind of the popcorn blockbusters. You had that, and then you had Spielberg's films. So you had like Jaws and that. But before then, it was still the '70s. You know, it was '70s movies. And I remember seeing, I don't even remember seeing a commercial. I remember seeing like a picture in the newspaper, like the New York Post or something, about the movie. And it was after it was out already, and it was like, this looks pretty cool. Or it was coming out, I forget. And I saw the picture of like Chewbacca and Han Solo, and whatever the headline was, I was intrigued. And I went to see it, and then it was just like, it just pinned my ears back just looking at that thing. And I was just mouth agape. And just like everybody else who grew up in that period and didn't know about it. In this case, since there's real things on the set, we have real cameras and real people. The sets are bigger than they were on Jungle Book, but it's essentially the same formula. And now instead of having a green screen that you have to move around in light, which took forever, and that was really the frustration that led to these innovations, which was how could we do that without green screens next time? And so that led to, do you have a green stage? Do you have pre-lit green areas that you could expose? And then it turned into these video walls where you could have.
There are such universal themes in the Star Wars stories, and ironically, I think people feel that it, you know, despite being fantasy, science fiction, it reflects the world we actually live in its inclusiveness and diversity and conflict and themes of good against evil and so it's fascinating to experience that as a child, you know, to have your imagination so enriched by these stories, and then now as an adult to look back and rekindle my relationship to Star Wars, and in particular those Star Wars movies and the tone of this series, which I find is a little bit more Empire Strikes Back and a bit grittier and edgier Star Wars. That I realize, wow, these you know, in terms of war and family and personal conflict and personal journey and personal relationships, it reflects so much what our actual reality as human beings on this planet is.
Basic storyline is about a man who's been following a way of life and has that way of life sort of upended by the introduction of the baby. And it sort of changes his life, and I think he's reevaluating his priorities and what means something to him in his life in the world. So I think it's really sort of about a man discovering something about himself that he had never known until he met the child.
Groundbreaking Star Wars was. It was, in its own way, again, like a crack into some sort of other universe that I hadn't been exposed to, you know? So it was pretty phenomenal, not only what it was at the time, but what it has become.
Seeing the screenplay, I immediately had the feeling, yes, there was something of substance there. Storytelling is something which has a perennial stability, probably since Paleolithic times, people sitting around a campfire and telling stories. So this is really good in storytelling, and it has a lot of openings for complete fantasy. And I found the dialogues and the constellations of figures in the film quite interesting. And I had the feeling, yes, that's something I should do.